When it comes to meetings, some people choose to just dial it in. It's become a euphemism for doing a substandard attempt at anything. And sometimes conference calls are definitely a substandard attempt at being productive. Join us now is our favorite workplace expert, Mary Abbajay, to help us try and believe that conference calls can actually be useful. Mary Abbajay.
But you have to do them right.
I am on a conference call every morning of my life.
And how many of them are good?
I've been reduced to tears because my bosses have hung up on me in derision because I'm talking and talking and they can't hear because I'm dipping in and out of cell phone range. It is the bane of much of our existence.
It is, and so many people are conducting business through conference calls.
More and more.
You've got to learn how to do it. It's so easy, I promise you.
Before we get to the right way to do it, you use in your training a hilarious YouTube video that kind of encapsulates the wrong way. We've got a longer takeout on our Facebook page, but here's a little quick clip of the wrong way to do a conference call.
Oh, well, I think what we should do
it
is
actually
really
depends on how you look at it, because Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Given sales, we're at
let me just say that.
Okay.
That's a great graph, John. Tyler?
Well, my main concern with the projections from last year was that they're just insufficient. I mean, they're not even taking into account.
Did we lose Tyler again?
Hello?
John, are you guys taking distributions? John?
Oh, my bad. I was on mute. Let me start over.
So the point of that being that it was a live conference call, but it shows you what happens every day on a real conference call, and it would never happen that way if you were in a real meeting.
Yeah, and that clip is great. And for people, if you don't link it, it's called the conference call in real life, and it just acts out. Yeah, go to your Facebook page. It just acts out all the problems that we have with conference calls.
So it's obvious, your tips. Some of them are obvious, but people still don't do them. So let's tick through them. You say, arrive early. People think that for a conference call you can get there at the last minute because it's just a conference call.
Yeah, and if the arrive early, if you're the hosting, so a lot of my tips are going to be for if you're the host. Okay. So if you're the host or the meeting leader, arrive early. You should be the first person on that conference line, and when everybody comes in, you are taking control right from the start. I also suggest that you send out 15 minutes a reminder so that people have that conference call number right in front of them. Because what happens? We wait to the last minute and then we go searching. Where's that number?
Exactly.
Where's that number?
So I say, especially if you're a small business, everyone arrive early so that when it's 9 a.m. and it's time for that conference call, you're all already there. You don't have people dropping in later. The clip shows more about what happens when people can't remember that code.
Right, and they drop in.
It's a jumbled start, so start fresh, make everyone get there early. Yeah. And I say, like a good wedding planner, budget in a little time when it hasn't really started. Like, allow a little chit-chat time so that people can get in, or is that a waste of time?
You know, I will allow 2 minutes of chit-chat time.
That's all they need.
And that's all you need, but then I start the meeting on time. And you have to be careful on chit-chat time if people are chit-chatting when people are calling in, because then you don't know who's there. And it feels awkward if you want to interrupt the chit-chat to say, hi, Rebecca's here, when someone's talking about their dog.
Yeah. Okay, well, so let's get straight to that, because you say, you know, obviously choose a quiet spot and a good phone, announce yourself, greet others. You say start pretty much on time, and then the initiator needs to call the meeting to order, and right at the start go over the agenda so that people know what to expect. And then you say there's ways to avoid the constant interruptions. You make introductions and you let each person say what they need to say.
Yeah, so when I do it, like when people come in, if I'm the host, I'm writing down their names as they're coming on. And then I say, I have Rebecca and Tracy and Jan and Stu. Am I missing anybody? And then we say great and we move on. And I keep track of who's on that call, because then I'll say, here's what we're gonna do. Here's idea one, let me hear what you think. And then I call people out. Rebecca, what are your thoughts? So go around, control that meeting.
I have to say, the reason we do get through our daily conference calls, because we have a lot of people in our editorial meeting in the room, and then we have a lot of people phoning in, reporters out in the field, and each person gets a turn and no one interrupts during that turn, and we save the chit chat for later. Once you get to the brainstorming where everyone's supposed to be jumping in with ideas, how do you control the mayhem?
Well, what you do is, well, there's lots of fun ways to do it. You could say, let's hear from the ladies first, or let's hear from the gentlemen first, or if your name's in the first half of the alphabet, go first. Or you let it go on, but sometimes you make ground rules. And one of the ground rules I recommend, if you don't know everybody, say your name. Like, this is Mary, here's what I think. This is Jan, here's what I think. Because you may have a regular conference call, but a lot of us are in conference calls with people we don't know.
And you say, follow proper ending procedures. But before you end that call, the other tip I want to get from you just at the end is, I think it's hugely advantageous. If there's a conference call where some people are all in the room together and some people are on the phone, it is so much more advantageous to be the person in the room. In that morning meeting, I can't be that person in the room. The person in the room who says, I raise my hand to do that assignment, is always going to get first preference. How do you overcome not being in the room on a conference call?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you're not in the room, you have to be in the room intellectually. That means stay focused. Do not be doing email. Be ready to say something, right? I mean, it's very tempting to do email or do your nails or whatever when you're on a conference call. Stay very present. When you hear there's an opportunity for involvement or input, say, hey, this is Rebecca. I'd love to do that. Even if someone in the room raises their hand, you should still pipe up and say, hey, this is Rebecca. If there's room on that project, I'd like a piece of it.
Very good advice, Mary Abbajay, as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rebecca.